written by someone, and they're thinking about when they get to heaven. But if you listen to some of the words and stuff, she said the dancing, you know how people get in the word or dance or something to God. I mean, totally giving your life to the Lord. Totally wanting God to bless you. On last night, I learned, someone said that they took Trayford from the servant to the palace. And I thought it was so beautiful what she said it. All the things that was done to him, all the things that was said about him, that he was unlearned and he loved his wife too much, and that he wasn't going to be able to pastor a church, and he don't have the knowledge and stuff. And she said, well, they took the servant and put him in the palace. She said that it was taught in their church one Sunday morning by our son that they had him to get up and speak on a father. And they said that he used his father and said he told our church up. Said he went and he began to talk about how his father loved his mother, and how his father never cheated on his mother, and how his father loved his children and taught his children to hold on no matter what. And said that when before they could finish and stuff, the church was tore up because they couldn't find that many millions of valid like that in that church or wherever. But anyway, it had something to do with all with the equalizer. Now, a fourth Sunday of last month, I told you that the Lord was still talking to me about to tell the people how to hold on in these latter days, because there's a shaking coming. And if you ain't holding on, if you're not giving it all to God, you won't be able to hold on. It said a tree of life. The Bible speaks of the tree of life. And in the Bible, it has, and the reason that I didn't pray before then is because I want to pray at the end. But in the book, it talks about the tree of life, and it names some people. And God was talking to me about Abraham. We all learned now that Abraham, if he was praising another God, if he had his mind and his set that he was praising another God, Abraham could not have been saved. But God looked at Abraham's heart. His heart was right with God. A lot of people say, well, your deeds don't make it in. God said it himself. But he didn't say don't do good deeds. He said because God says, I look at a man's heart and how they do in their motives. And there's a time in the Bible, it tells you all the seasons. And there's going to come a time in life and in our lives that the devil's going to tell God, how about this servant? And if your life is not holding on and your motives is not right, because you can be saved and still go to hell. Amen. And that's what people fail to understand. You can be saved and still go to hell because your motive's not right. You just saved by doing what you see other people do, by going to church, by praying and stuff like that. But your mindset and what you're supposed to be doing for God is not right. And God began to talk to me and stuff, and he told me, he said, I want you to study on being an equalizer. Because I saw Equalizer years ago when I was younger. And the man, he never did try to let everybody see him. It wasn't about seeing him. He just wanted to make things right. And see, that's how we do about living for God, doing what's right. The Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father. So you decide that your mother and your father ain't doing right, so you're not going to honor them. That's one thing that is sin to God. Because, see, God wrote some things down that you just have to go by. Yes. And one of them was honor thy mother and father. He said, don't put nothing before me, no other God. And God's can be your job. God's can be your husband, your wife, your children. They're different things. And he said that he had Moses to write them. It wasn't something that, all the things in the Bible may not edify you, but some of the things in the Bible is your lifestyle for God that he wants. So then, an equalizer, this man, he got the facts. That's what he was doing. He was getting the facts. And then he went and he investigated. And see, that's what God wants to do by him. He wants us to investigate him. He wants to live for him the best that we know how. Not like someone else, but like he wants us to do. And in the book of Ruth, let's go to Ruth 1, chapter 1. Everybody has it? Ruth 1, and go to 14, chapter 14. Ruth 1 and 14.
Verse 14.
Yeah. And they lift up their voices and wept again. And Oprah kissed her mother-in-law. But Ruth cleaved unto her. And everybody know the difference in when someone tells you, say, you a friend. They tell you that you their friend. And see, in the equalizer, a lot of things was, he helped the ones that was demonic, as well as the people who husband was beating them, the mob. He did all of that, just like God. He don't change for nobody. He do the same for everybody. And see, with Ruth and Oprah, they both lived, because back in the Bible day, most of everybody lived in the same hut, in the same little thing. They was in their own quarters and stuff, but they didn't live like we do in houses and all that kind of stuff. They all kind of cleaved together. And so, really what happened was, they got the same teaching that all of us get today. Some people say, I'm a prayer warrior. I can pray and stuff, but their heart may not be right. They can just pray. And then some people say, that person can preach. Ooh, you ever heard that? So they can preach, but their heart may not be right. Doesn't mean that they can't change, but you have to live for God the best of your knowledge on what God tell you. Because God coming back for people without a spot or rancor. He said nothing coming back for the greatest preacher in the world. He did not say that in his word. He said spot or rancor. If people think that they saying that he coming back for a church, God said spot or rancor, but he mean you. And it means